So we're on the scene, lunch and science. The lunch bell sounds and I bring myself out of the stupor I slipped into during the morning's classes. My lack of sleep last night, coupled with the increased pace of this morning's run, has left me a little exhausted. Despite that, I find myself skipping stairs up to the roof. There's a thrill of excitement now, in addition to the pleasure one gets from eating lunch with one's friends. True, both Emmy and Rin are still my friends, but Emmy has become more than that now. Rin is back in the usual spot on the roof, almost as if she'd never been absent. Feeling better, I take it? A raised eyebrow is my reward for speaking. Why is she laying in the net? Why is she laying on the ground, I mean? Better than what? Or better than you felt yesterday? Rin gives my questions of serious thought. I'm not sure. Dude, I think I might have felt rather good for some of yesterday, but it's all fuzzy. Too much cold medicine? Well, I was asleep, and that usually is pretty good. But I can't remember what it feels like to be asleep, because I'm not conscious for it. It's a real problem. Oh yeah. Shame. What a shame. Then again, if I knew how good it felt, I might not sleep anymore. But this way I keep trying, so I guess that's how I can keep from being overtired. An internal mystery to keep you sleeping at night? Maybe mystery is the wrong word. Intangibility might be the proper way to describe it. Intangibility, huh? Like, I know the word and how to pronounce it, but I don't know what it means. Let's see, unable to be touched or grasped, not having physical presence, or difficult or impossible to define or understand, vague and abstract. I see. No, I don't see it all. I have no idea what she's talking about, but that's okay since I rarely do. Do you remember what sleeping feels like? Like yesterday, do you remember what you felt like sleeping yesterday? Well, I actually didn't get a lot of sleep yesterday. Maybe that's because you remember subconsciously. Actually, I think I was worrying about Emmy. Doesn't Emmy worry enough about herself? I hadn't considered that, but it gives me pause. True, but would she ask for help if she needed it? Rin frowns and I raise an eyebrow. Will I get a proper answer? Probably not. Is there something she should be asking for help with? Her leg, for starters. This seems to catch Rin's interest. Leg? What leg? It hurts. But she won't see the nurse about it. Rin shakes her head in disapproval. You have to make her. Like she makes me go to class, for her own good. Otherwise she could lose her legs again, and that's just too weird. Losing things twice. Especially if you don't find them again to begin with. Unless prosthetics are the same as finding something. But that's a different kind of lost, isn't it? I think so. I wonder. Wonder what? Oh, it's Emmy now? Emmy seems to have snuck up on Rin and me. Though Rin doesn't seem especially surprised, which is itself unsurprising, I suppose. Rin manages to sit herself upright quite expertly, throwing her upper body forward and using her momentum to right herself. I was wondering how she was going to get up. Your leg, how's it feel? That earns me a frown and a bit of a glare. It's okay, I think. Not worth worrying about. Tell him that to the nurse. He's quite insistent that you visit him, you know? Emmy Pathway have just told her she's been grounded. He worries too much. It's not a big deal, just a little soreness. I try to resist rolling my eyes in exasperation. If it's nothing, then you should have no problem seeing him, right? Emmy narrows her eyes suspiciously. Did he put you up to this? Well, maybe, a little. But that's not the point. I would have reminded you to see him anyway. It would be terrible to see you really hurt and not do anything about it. That would make it worse. I don't really want to see you hurt, you know? Call me crazy, but I would kind of prefer to see you happy and healthy. With each statement, Emmy's frown fades a little more until eventually she's grinning, albeit a little shyly. Well, if you're going to put it that way, then I guess I'll have to see him. Otherwise you'll keep worrying, and then I'll never hear the end of it, right? Yeah, probably not. That's right, I'll keep bugging you about it, and that might put a damper on our dates. How's the food, Hisao? Talk to the nurse, Emmy. How's your day, Hisao? Talk to the nurse, Emmy. Hisao, I think I'm ready to go all talk to the nurse, Emmy. See, it doesn't work that well. And it gave us my high-pitched rendition of her own voice and gives me an affectionate shove. My voice isn't that high, jerk. I thought it was pretty accurate. Good going, Rin. Emmy and I stare at Rin for a while before I burst into laughter. Emmy crosses her arms and huffs, mock offended. You're both jerks. Such vile calumnies from you, young woman. What is calumnies? Calumnies. The making of false and defamatory statements about someone in order to damage their reputation. Slander. A false and slanderous statement.
Calumny.
Calamity. This is vile calumnies from you, young woman. I'm stunned that you would call me, of all people, a jerk. Honestly, I don't know what to think. I'm losing my mind. Emmy sticks her tongue out at me. You ass. So, Rin, how's the art club these days? Rin, seemingly as surprised by the sudden change of topics I am, takes a minute to think before answering. I believe it is okay. Although Namiya keeps telling me to work harder. But I don't think he understands my methods. He always struck me as slightly creepy. Rin ponders his statement for a while. I've never really noticed. I don't pay much attention to him most days, so maybe that's why. How often do you meet? Thinking of joining Hisao? What? Nah, I've already decided to join a club. Really? Which one? Well, it's not really much of a club, to be honest. Oh, you joined the tea club? Oh, that would be fun. I love tea. If you couldn't tell by my profile name. No, I joined the science club, I think. Emmy looks highly confused. We have a science club? Not really. It's just me. Hisao is not a club that's sitting in your room reading books. No, I mean it's just me and Mutou. I'm just the only student so far. Mutou? Really? A thought strikes her. Oh, is that what you were talking about yesterday? Your meeting with Mutou? Yeah, that was our first meeting, I guess. And it giggles. Nerd. Hey, I can't help being clever. So, we got a nerd and a pirate in a relationship together? You know, I could have used your help years ago. You should have had your heart attack earlier in life, Sal. Yeah, you know, you should have had a heart attack earlier just so you could meet me. I laughed and realized it's probably one of the very rare times I've laughed about my heart attack. Hindsight. Yeah. The ringing of the bell ends our conversation. Guess we'd better go. Yeah, I guess so. Come on, Rin, you too. Rin has apparently begun to doze off, so Emmy gives her a sharp bump. I almost had it. Sorry, but you need to go to class. I disagree, but maybe if I nap in class, I'll get it this time. Changing location is sometimes helpful for that kind of thing. Neither Neither Emmy or I bother asking what it is. As we arrive at my classroom, Emmy gives me a quick kiss and heads down the hallway, Rin in tow. I turn to enter the classroom to be met by the duo of Shizune and Misha. Misha seems to be fighting a losing battle to keep from breaking into a fit of giggles while she translates Shizune's latest rant. While we were pleased, nay thrilled, to see how well you've managed to make new friends and forge relationships, and with such a cutie too, He-chan. I think that last part was probably Misha. We nevertheless feel compelled to politely remind you that the public displays of affection are strictly forbidden. Really? That's disappointing, Shi-chan. By Section 8 of the Code of Conduct laid out in the student handbook. In this case, however, ignorance of the law may be your excuse as we are feeling lenient. Ignorance usually isn't an excuse. Or ignorance of the law usually isn't an excuse. And the paperwork required to punish the both of you would only add to the already mountainous volume of work which confronts us, the sole members of the student council. And besides, you two are adorable together. Well, glad we're off the hook just because of that. Therefore, consider this a formal warning, and please refrain from such displays in the future, at least when Shizune can see you, He-chan. This whole spiel is so patently ridiculous that I can't help but reply in the same pompous manner. Well, I, for one, feel enlightened. I apologize profusely for my rash actions, and will strive to contain my baser impulses, which, I fear, impel me towards such inappropriate displays of public affection. My baser impulses? So is that just like natural impulses? Let's see. A person or person's actions or feelings without moral principles ignoble, denoting or befitting a person of lower social class or not made of precious metal. I think it's probably that first one. It is hardly my wish to burden an already overworked student council with such petty matters, and will do my best to make your lives easier in this matter in the future. At least, when Shizune is watching. The last one is delivered with a wink to Misha, who finally loses control of her laughter. Wahahaha. Well said, He-chan. Chuckling a bit myself, we enter the classroom. Class is uneventful, and after the final bell rings, I find myself alone with Mutou again. So it looks like we've assembled for the second meeting of the science club. Or is it the first? What do you think? Should we count yesterday as a meeting? Well, we did form the club yesterday, didn't we? That seems like club business, so we can safely call yesterday a meeting. Mutou smiles in his usual stilted and awkward way. I wonder if the muscles in his face are just not shaped correctly to let him smile naturally. You really do have a knack for this, I think. Logical thought processes, that is. I guess so. A scientist speaks with authority, Hisao. The answer here is yes, I do. When the world wants to know how it works, we tell it, even if all we've got is a decent hypothesis. But we must sound certain anyway, because we're the authorities on the subject, right? I mean, that sounds logical. He chuckles to go along with his awkward smile at his awkward joke. I'm doing my best not to grimace, but I don't think I'm being too successful. That's entirely false, of course. We know a lot for sure, but nobody's an expert on how the world works, if only because nobody can be sure. With no certainty, there are no experts. Huh, I never thought about it that way. But we like to pretend, sometimes. Kinda glad I went down this route. There's some things we can be certain of, right? Yes, but no. We know gravity's there, for example. To illustrate, Mutou picks up a pencil and drops it. See? Still there, but it's good to check every once in a while. That's why you still see researchers mucking about with gravity. We're pretty sure we know how it works, but there's always a chance that something isn't how we think it is. You know, there's always a chance gravity will just poof, gone. So you check and check and check. That's science in a nutshell, Hisao. The whole time I've witnessed feeling rather spellbound, Mutou seems to really be passionate about this stuff, I think. It's hard to tell sometimes. The only science I get into is like astronomy or astrology or whatever, just space. Space is just so amazing to me. How the world works, how humans work, how the universe works. All these questions to be answered. And, depending on what I go into, maybe I could even figure out a way to fix my heart. That said, I don't think that's a real priority for me. Besides, as we start discussing the book he gave me yesterday, I find myself more and more interested in that than my heart condition. But then again, I'm more interested in culinary than science. Before we even realize it, an hour's gone by. Well, let's call this meeting over for now, okay? We'll have another meeting tomorrow or the day after. He considers this for a moment. Call it the day after. I've got a lot of grading to do. Okay, see you then. As I exit the classroom, I realize that I don't really have anything to do tonight. Emmy and I didn't make plans, so I guess I'll go to the library. Beats doing homework in my room anyway.